Okay.
Oh, the old thorny dialect.
Did you every sign in Palm Beach County?
I told you, I wanna get that done so I can give you money for them to do extra landscaping.
Are these all in Florida?
But this is gonna be first.
I like this one.
All right, ladies and
For sale.
gentlemen, we're on video. Later to be uploaded to the World Wide Web.
Dan is getting a hold of Ed,
Beautification of all.
They're watching this in Russia now.
In Russia.
Glad
Glad you didn't bring up the, what was it, the thylax thing on video.
Thorny
Thorny
smile.
That we have, not keep the sign, the size, footprints. But we wanna change it to make it look more attractive and more.
Update.
Update is the word.
They haven't been.
She's just getting the agenda
Oh, okay. We are awaiting the arrival
of the chair.
of El Supremo.
A brand new chair.
Okay.
The chair.
Okay. Well, the only guy I told
chairperson.
about it was the
I was
one-
very glad to hear you guys got the contract. We know you're gonna do a great job, Steve.
That's the plan. That is the plan.
I heard you were on vacation. Did you have a good time?
Actually, it really wasn't a vacation. It was,
Work?
helping out, yeah, it was work. So, but it was nice. I went to San Diego, so I
Oh, nice.
squeezed a day or two into,
Yeah, well,
for
you had to get
myself.
some enjoyment out of that.
yeah.
Living plants in San Diego.
Barely. Good thing is they have no grass.
Good morning, everyone.
Everything is concrete.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Steve,
How
nice
are
to
you?
see you.
It's nice to
Good.
see you.
People may not know who I am. My name is Arlene Kretz. I am the chairperson for the beautification. Let me pass this down.
Cameras on.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, it will be. Yes. Arthur, welcome. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see you again. Hi, I'm Arlene, and you are?
Let me see her face.
Oh, nice to meet you.
We're gonna go around the table. I mean, if we could introduce our people.
We'll share.
Okay, thank you.
Ask me how I remember Sandra's name.
Need a copy
Well,
of.
No, I'm just,
Your coffee cup.
yes, I didn't see the other side.
There you go. Follow up.
That's funny, yeah, that's funny. Don't just give it back, wash it or return.
It doesn't work,
It doesn't
it
work.
doesn't work.
To date, nothing.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to everyone.
No,
I'm
no.
gonna take a moment to read the minutes. So last month we had to cancel, we did not have a quorum. So I appreciate everyone coming out today on this beautiful day, less the rain. And we will, any changes to the minutes?
Have we established quorum?
We have a
I think
quorum.
so,
We're only
yeah.
missing one member, is Marilyn. She's
Marilyn
put in,
Pomerantz.
there's only one,
Thank
two,
you. All right, thank
three,
you.
4 people on this committee. And that's all who put in for the committee,
Exactly.
and that's what we have.
Thank you, Marilyn.
We don't need much more, just 4 working people.
Okay,
Where's Dave?
David who?
Always.
Oh.
Oh, maybe he's tied up with a resident?
yeah, that's why I didn't know if he was here. Thank you,
He's
Sandra, I
here.
didn't see him.
He is here, but
Would we like to go around the, yes, David, I'm
Does
sorry.
anybody need one? I got 2.
I'll take it then.
Give me
I
Marilyn.
won't share, thank you, sir.
Okay, why don't we start at the other end with David? And introduce yourself. Oh,
Hi,
wonderful.
David.
Stu is here.
You go president.
Barbara Corners, Vice President.
Welcome, Stu.
Morning, everyone. I'm Bob Foster. I'm the Yuko Property Manager.
Arthur Feinberg, Andover J.
Sandra Cooper, corresponding secretary for UCO.
Arlene Kretz, chairperson.
Stu Richland, VP. Steven Terzo, Vice President of Operations, Secret Services.
Cliff Cameron, Regional Landscape Manager,
I'm
Startup
sorry,
Manager.
couldn't hear your first name.
Cliff Cameron,
Oh, Cliff, okay, nice to meet you.
you too.
I'm Phil Austin, I'm the landscape manager for Seacrest.
I'm Judy Amsler, Canterbury F. I'm Vice President, and I'm visiting and looking forward to being on the beautification committee.
Welcome.
Welcome, we appreciate you coming. To everyone, thank you for coming. Okay, today we'd like to discuss the finishing up of Haverhill entrance. All right, we've been having a slight difficulty on the letters. We want 15-inch letters. And we want it so it's positioned C here, V here. The guy gave it to us and it was not positioned correctly. So we're still working on that. That's work in progress. They can always go up. Anyone have any comments about it? Donald?
Sorry?
Any comments on the lettering?
No.
Okay. Yes, Marilyn?
I came in the other night late, I was coming in from the airport, and I think we have to think about putting some lighting there, because you have the Century Village, and Century Village is very dull looking, if anybody came in at night. And right at the entrance, right there, there's no light, pitch dark. You have those tiny, which you said was a problem, tiny little lanterns that previous committee got. It doesn't show any light. We have to think maybe Donald will come up with an idea presented to us about some sort of better lighting there, okay?
I took a ride out there last night in between rainstorms.
Oh, you're
Happened
kidding.
One of the reasons it's dark out there is we have one fixture down. That would be on the north side, on the
Yeah,
north
but I mean,
wing.
it's really, you don't really get the impact of the great work that
No.
Seacrest did there.
So I have the electrician come and look at that today. The other thing I'd like to bring to the committee's attention is the arbicola on the two wings.
Having trouble hearing you.
The arbicola trinettes on the two wings where it says Century Boulevard, they probably need some filling in. There's some depth there. Really, it's the north side that needs it.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
took
not.
some pictures, but everybody comes in and out, just take a peek at that. Not a big deal, but it'd be nice to make them look, the same.
Yes, Donald?
It's really maintenance stuff.
If you're gonna put up heavier lighting, is there any technical issues with the normal cycle of these plants? Are we gonna have some issues with all that light?
No, should be no problem.
Okay.
Putting lights on it, that's fine.
I mean, I know my what do you call them?
He's fine.
They're not foxtails, they're
Your marigolds?
no.
Adonidia,
Whatever.
Adonidia,
Yeah, the one with the very rough trunk.
Robolini.
Robolini, triple Robolini in front. We had to remove big spotlight because the trunk closest to that light was very unhappy. It wasn't growing like the other two. We assumed it had something to do with the light.
You didn't give them sunglasses?
Well, nowadays with the LED lights, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Much brighter, clearer.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds neat. The lantern should kind of match the style of the letters.
Well, it does.
Should plug and play with each other.
Yeah, it should, and then if we change the light bulbs in the two there, I think it'll help out. I know Donald had talked about putting up, I call them pencil lights. Is that correct terminology, Donald?
Not sure.
Well, he'll come up next month with some ideas for us, please, Donald. I'm sure we
Sure.
can find.
I-
He's good at that.
There's 4 existing fixtures.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what you like as far as styling.
Yeah,
What
or
you
if
have-
you wanna put something different just to light up.
What you
that
have
area.
going on now with the, ye old coach lights from basically the style from when the building, the place was built. You could basically look at a catalog, see what you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
The scale on the original brochure, it's very obvious, they were not meant to be little demure lights.
That was the problem they made 4 years ago. They got too small a light. They
Those
should
were
have got
great
big coach
Big
lights.
lights.
That's what we need there,
Yeah.
to make a statement.
Yeah.
People go, they're sitting at the light, they're gonna notice it. Because coming in at night, it's very difficult. In fact, one of the first times I was here, my brother went right past the entrance.
Yeah.
We were on
Easy to do.
Okeechobee, and he said, it has to be here. I go, I didn't see anything. There was living proof. We went up the hill and turned around and came back and then we spotted it. So we do need to do that. And eventually those lights around the palm trees, I hope you did not nail them in. That will kill your palm trees.
Really?
Yes, it will kill your palm trees. It'll take a while, 15 to 20 years, but it will kill your palm trees.
This is an unanticipated consequence.
Mm-hmm.
I've never
Not
heard
at the
this.
price.
Yeah. There's other lights that you can put up that you don't need
These
to
rope lights. you're
stay,
talking
right,
about.
exactly. They're old fashioned anyway. I don't know who came with them, but sorry, they are old fashioned.
Now, wait a minute.
An ex-vice
This
president.
was pushed here.
An ex-vice
As
president.
the best thing since sliced bread. Am I hearing that they're gonna damage the palms?
Pretty much any hole in a tree,
Right.
whether it's a light, a
Lenny's
nail,
right,
a
thank you.
This isn't a joke, you know, those things,
Yeah.
you gotta replace them, you're talking 20K plus.
Remember years ago, you used to be able to climb palm trees with spikes?
Yeah.
And everybody would spike them, and then they realized that
They were
all they're
killing
doing is
them.
opening up holes for
Exactly.
decay, they kind of
They're
decay
saying it's the
within.
attachment,
Yeah, it's how
Putting a
they're
nail or
attached.
any item, a staple in there, even a staple, it will kill your palm trees. It'll take a while, but it will kill
This
them.
came up during the planning, there was what was called the tree-friendly clip. Is there some penetration to the tree? Yes,
folks,
but it's
we
minimal.
need some technical input. Now, we can't tolerate that.
New fastening device or something.
Excuse me, Mary?
Use the same light but a different fastening, a band or.
Yeah, exactly. And there's always a master
Like you
gardener.
just said,
I'm not a
yeah.
master gardener. And I don't say I am at all. But a master gardener had told me that.
I'll pull one of the clips.
Lady
I'll
for the
bring it up.
state.
How about we go to Florida State Agricultural Service?
I have a connection there.
She knows someone, so that's good.
Or the mountains.
Yeah, Mount Botanical. Yeah, I use their master gardener. If I have a question on something,
Yeah,
I will
good.
call them. They're extremely helpful. And the lady that's in charge is fantastic.
Yeah.
A wealth of information. I am going back to take another course because you miss things. No one's perfect, right, but we'll get it there. But I just wanna let you know. Hey Ed, welcome. Do we have any other questions regarding the entrance? Any other statements? How about coming inside the entrance with some kind of change in the floral?
I think that whole broad corridor up to the clubhouse provides opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, how much do you wanna spend and how much can we get some sharing with cost, still won't come out of our pocket, but with WPRF, because I know Eva has all sorts of ideas about what this should look like, but I think this is a terrific opportunity. Big, broad avenue, and something could be done with.
All the plants around the palms have been cut back. It's gonna take them a while to grow.
The
Did you say
Jatropha gets a hard cut.
Yeah,
once a
that's
year.
it. And I call it a deep cut, hard cut. It's gonna take a while for those leaves to start and flowers to start popping out. And by that time, we'll be into the fall, if you ask me. It'll take a while.
Yeah, the mission of this committee, it seems so subtle, but it's so important.
It is.
It's all about curb appeal and selling units and attracting people at eye candy. I mentioned that in passing.
Good. No, that's fine. That's fine. We appreciate everything. Barbara?
I think what you just said is so important to this village, curb appeal. And I think the curb appeal starts right out here at our Okeechobee. And I think that sign, although we are restricted by code, we are allowed to go 2 feet higher. Nothing else can change, but the base has to stay the same footprint. This is what I was told by Dominic, and when we went to code, we asked again. This is the way it has to be. Now, this has been a pet peeve of mine forever, I know a lot of people like what's there, but I get complaints constantly and all the things that I go to that this has got to be changed to more appealing like most of our other places. So there's a thing called backlighting, and I'm sure yous are familiar with it. Something like this, okay? Or something like this, I'll pass it around, okay? You can look at it. These are all the signs I have pictures of. It doesn't matter what they look like in here. We can conform it to the size of our sign. It's just a matter of getting a guy who does monuments or masonry work to come out here, and then to have you guys decide on how we can make it really appealing out here, which I know you work with some big companies, big developments. You know how their signs are, okay? You can just look at these, just if you want to browse, you know. But we have, I'm glad Ed is here, he's our treasurer. By the way, that's Ed Black, our treasurer. Ed, right now, approximately, I know that the budget allowed 30,000. I think we spent roughly applied towards our budget 3,000, did you say? So we have approximately $27,000. I don't know what it costs, the sign's gonna cost, but it's not gonna be $27,000, that I can tell you. So we're gonna see what a sign will cost, we're gonna get estimates, and then we can see what we can salvage, what you think, as our landscapers out there, what can be improved, and we have the money to work with. We want it to look attractive, and we want the light to be seen at nights when someone comes off that turnpike or down here, they're not looking at Citibank, they're looking at Century Village lit up. And we want it to be
Modern.
really modern and nice looking. So if you guys have anyone you know who does signs or does monuments, we always appreciate your help, believe me, you know.
I've been making a lot of phone calls
Oh,
on
yeah,
that.
she
And
certainly
now I'm
has.
gonna make you laugh.
This is a cute.
I've been calling monument signage, West Palm Beach in the South Florida. Well, Lord and behold, didn't I call one that does it for cemeteries? So the man was very nice. He said, "Oh, sorry, can't help you." Another one
Yeah.
also.
I'm probably getting our business.
Another one, they're actually made out of some kind of a plastic that holds up to 180-mile-an-hour winds. But I don't like that idea. I like cement.
And we want,
I like
we want
rocks and
concrete,
cement,
something's, you know,
not
substantial.
plastic.
Yeah.
I don't care if it holds up for an 80-mile-an-hour winds, the next day it may blow down. We don't want that. But we want something really attractive. And I know Barbara was saying stay in a footprint. I like to go fight them. Because I know it's difficult. I know it is, because the thing is, Citibank is way up here. Wells Fargo's here. Oh, here are we. Come on.
I will be glad to set up a date, because I've gone through this, and most of us who are in this room affiliated with this problem, right, Donald? You know, with Dominic, who knows people at code, and let you go over, and they will explain to you about how the turnpike owns part, the county owns part, and you have no idea what you're dealing with. It would take you forever, but if you stay within the footprint, you don't have to have code approval. That's the
Oh, that's
difference. So I will be glad for you to go down and talk to them, because, hey, you never know.
Yes, David.
There's a lot of email chatter, which you probably should look at.
Yeah.
David Fornes and Kathy, I mean, they worked this problem, Dominic. You got a big FPL pole right behind that sign, and I mean right behind it. You got all kinds of roadway traffic control devices embedded in the road. This piece toward the turnpike, Florida Turnpike Authority has some chop over what's done there. So you got the state, you got the county. It's really a pain. However, we've heard these stories before. And often as not, if you get to the right person who really understands what you want to do, sometimes you can cut right through all this dribble and get it done. But I think you're gonna be limited in terms of increasing the footprint. of encroaching, especially forward toward the traffic control system. So,
I will make a suggestion, I'll have this appointment set up, maybe Donald would like to go too with Dominic and you. And to tell you that, to move at that time, going back 4 years ago, to move that light, the FPL light, is approximately $750, okay? Now, can we go back on our property? Maybe. Will it be advantageous to us? I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay, but I think since you're new and you should really learn about code and the different things that happen over there, would be a good thing to go and meet with them.
I do know a little bit, I helped East Rutherford where Giant Stadium is.
Yeah, I know you did.
And we had Beckton Dickinson, and we were sister towns. So we helped one another, and it turns out that the state made them stay in the footprint after Beckton Dickinson donated the property for their police station. Now, their police station originally was so small and poor, it was terrible, and they are right on the road, literally on the road. And I tried it and they said, we can't, we've struggled and struggled with it. So we have to do something where people are gonna notice, oh, Century Village, here it is.
Right. That's what I mean, it has to be a very special sign with backlighting at night, so it really pops, but in a nice sophisticated way.
And something really modern to stand out, but it's pretty modern and something to pop. And Stu, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, some of the illustrations you have there are mostly with, will be much larger
They can be
than,
scaled down.
because you're not gonna change the size except
No.
grow it taller. And so as a
Absolutely.
result, a lot of those really won't work for us.
I went to some companies on the internet and they had even like what Dominic had, it was beautiful with the posts and all. It's not gonna work here, but anything, this is only to look at what kind of sign, in other words, material wise, not size. You can't go by the size. Donald was nice enough to get us the size of the sign as it is now. I have it inside, he sent me an email. And we can, it doesn't matter if it's as big as this wall or as small as that sign, you can use any material, it's just scaling it down, that's all it is, nothing else.
Does not have to be 5 feet by 10 feet,
No.
like some of them are huge.
The examples that you have here will not afford backlighting.
No,
They're
but that's just to
concrete
give you an
on-
idea of the material, not the backlighting.
I mean, the design
Yeah,
itself,
right.
little post coming up, brickwork, and then the sign in between and so on or
But
something
you
like
can
that.
cut out columns, just have that middle sign.
Exactly.
There's so many ways from what they told me they can do. They said they can accommodate any size that we need, just finding the right company.
That's what we're struggling at.
And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
If anybody in this room has anyone that we can contact, I talked to Dan Cruz yesterday, and he is going to have Edgar send someone over. We're trying other places. If you notice when they build a new development, the entranceways, they build them first because they want it to look good. Most of the time it's done by the people they have working, their construction companies do it. Up the block, they had it done at Cypress Lakes. I'm not saying their sign, I'm saying companies. We just gotta get some companies to come and see what they tell us, cause that's out of our expertise.
To give us their opinions.
Right.
And that's what we need, is their expertise.
Well, we can reach out to, a couple of vendors that we deal with and maybe we can,
Anything
Set
you
it
can
up.
do, Steve, would be so greatly
Yeah.
appreciated,
Mhm.
really.
Because it's been a little tough. I do have 2 other company names on my phone, and somebody said, another company recommended them.
Right.
And the one I'm having a hard time with because I don't know if it's a spelling, but I will get through to them.
Okay.
I will. Anything else you have to talk about?
cones you have here.
I have that on my list. The cones, I hate to say this, but they're getting worse. I did see one nice lady, a resident, get out and fix the cone. I guess she hit it. She stopped the car, she got out and fixed it, but they're so dirty.
Yep.
Really dirty.
We knew this was gonna happen.
Yep. The trucks just hit them and the people just hit them and It's amazing.
The only counterbalancing argument, as I recall, is if we could find them cheap enough as to make them throwaway. And I don't remember where we came down on that.
We did go to a cheaper cone,
Mm-hmm.
which is like under $15 a piece. And the idea was we would just use them, if they get really bad, we just fling them. But really what I'm doing is taking the old ones and stacking them back in the laundry, using them on other spots. At the moment, we're getting an even better cone for an even better price.
Better
Yeah.
than Amazon?
Oh yeah,
All right.
yeah, we're scaling them for free. And they're DOT grade. We have the water company working on the property, we have Atlantic Broadband, we have FPL working on the property. They leave stuff all over the place, top of the line, $50 cones,
We can utilize them.
so lots of them. Some of them are just making their way to certain discrete storage areas on the property, and we've been making use of those. Won't last forever, but
All right, well, as long as we're working on them, let's do something.
Unless we come up with a clever new idea, that what we're doing now is not gonna look nice.
No.
No, it
It's just
doesn't.
If
not.
anybody on this committee, I know you're new, you know, the cones that are out there, they're talking about dividing the lanes when you come in.
Up to the clubhouse, you mean?
No, right here,
Right here,
as you
right
come in even.
entrance.
And they would like to find an alternative way to use something there that might stay clean. I mean, after a while, they look like these chairs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're constantly paying, that's ridiculous.
Yes, Donald.
The real big issue there, of course, you come in the visitors lane and some of those people, many, want to make a snap turn into Wellington, right there.
Yeah.
And there's traffic in the lane.
Yeah.
So we're trying to put up some kind of barrier in the middle to put that turn off as far as we can.
If anybody wants to look, when Eva put up at the clubhouse, when you go up over the little hump there, and where the turnaround is, she put these sticks, they're like this, they're not intrusive or nothing, but you can't get past them.
the delineators.
Whatever they are, and they've been, I mean, of course, they won't get the abuse that we get where we are here, you know, but it's something to think about, what they cost, what kind they have. This is why this committee, I hope you all will do research, you wanna come in anytime, use the computer, use this here office to meet, give Arlene a call.
I will tell you, been here a while, we use those things out here.
Yeah.
Flexible, you knock them over, they pop back up about 6 times, and they don't quite pop back up, and they lay down and die, and they get just as dirty as the cones. They get just as dirty as the cones.
I have not seen anything different to use. I mean, those you can unscrew it, take out the
Sure.
cone, put a new one in.
Sure.
The price on that, Donald, do you think you can find out about that? A
And we
good
can
price?
also check, anybody on this committee, I don't know if these all use computers, just go on the computer, Google it. And you,
Excuse me, if the problem is the entrance.
Yeah.
Why not move the entrance?
what do you mean?
Just move the entrance further down that road,
You mean where our guardhouse
to
is?
Wellington, no, to Wellington.
Oh, no, I'm
Oh,
not, that's not what we're, that's what David talked about.
Yeah.
Well, what
Yeah.
is the purpose of the cones? I don't understand.
Well, because Ed Black is here and he's in charge of security, we have tried, I said, do without the cones. You know, and they said, well, people will hit each other with their cars. Listen,
Have they?
well, we haven't tried it.
Visualize.
That
haven't
would
tried it.
eliminate the dirty cones.
That
And the other
certainly
thing
would.
the other thing is, you know, when I go into other complexes, when I go to visit friends, and I come in to visit a gate, they keep that gate down if there's anyone on my right.
Yeah.
Residents go in first.
And there's no cones.
Right.
I
I know
don't
what you're
I don't know
saying.
why the cones are there.
I
Visualize
think Ed can
the
address it.
turn into Wellington.
I can
2
visualize.
lanes of
I don't have to
traffic.
visualize. Someone
Right in
just,
front of us.
Exactly.
like I wasn't there.
So if you're here and your mind is fixed, I'm gonna make that turn,
And you can't turn your neck.
and there's someone in that lane, you have set up a situation, so those cones go down theoretically far enough to preclude that happening.
Okay,
But your answer was right before, move the entrance down.
move the entrance or have them keep the gate down if there's a resident going by.
Move it back.
Well,
Down.
further to the
Down
four-way,
towards
further
the four
towards the
corners.
four-way stop.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
You're gonna move the entrance past the Wellington turn?
No, the entrance to
Other-
Wellington,
Oh, yes.
that's what he's talking
Yeah.
about, the entrance into Wellington.
Therein might lie a tale.
Well, everyone needs something to live for, you know?
We've gone to other communities and whatnot too, and I'm agreeing with what you're saying in the fact that when we as guests are on the left, we cannot move
They keep
until
you-
they.
they keep you sitting there.
Until the right lane is clear. And they get told,
Yeah.
you know, thank you, or they check their ID or, you know, whatever. Please wait until the right lane is completed, I'll let the gate up. So after 2 or 3 people, then it's your turn.
It
You
puts
also have to-
major responsibility on the guard, and you may not wanna do that. You really have to think about that.
I hate to tell you, Ed's sitting there and he really should be telling you this, not me, cause he's the head of security. But by doing that, that was brought up at a security meeting, because every place I go, they do exactly the same thing. Any place along here does it. But because of the volume of cars, am I correct, Ed, that come into this community, we would be wind up on Okeechobee. And then the police would be something to say. I agree with you, but we don't have that stretch, and we have, how many cars come in here in a month? 20,000 at least?
The last time we took account, we had 350,000 at both gatehouses.
That's a lot of
One month.
cars.
Well, you certainly could do a one-day experiment.
Well,
I agree.
we've done multiple day experiments.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
you
And
can't
it just-
stop
and it just
traffic
backs
in one
up.
lane while the other lane works.
You also
Because
have
you're
to
backing
remember,
traffic up.
years ago when this was
People take
built,
offense and then they step on the gas and pull in front of a car. In a hurry,
when this was
some
built
runs in the
years
yard.
ago, it was narrower. The cars were smaller, the trucks were smaller, the lanes were smaller. Now you have a lot of huge trucks out there, cars, and the new places that are being built have wider entrances.
Yeah.
I will,
That is the
Is there
problem.
any room to
I
make a
will
wider
say,
entrance here?
what this gentleman
Eventually.
said, this is the more, you have to go to more global thinking. It's going to be expensive, and it will require significant redesign perhaps
Exactly.
of the infrastructure. I doubt that those 2 lanes are highway code in width. If they are, they're very, very close.
I agree.
That whole design is bad, everything is crunched together. And we need a little more thinking. We could put cones there till doomsday, or the sticks, they're gonna get dirty, they're gonna get knocked down. A new approach is needed. Yes.
And yeah, the roadway that comes out into Wellington L&M has been a problem for some time. One of the reasons we fixed that problem is we eliminated the jungle that was on that corner. We did it in stages over the last year. The final phase of it was taken up by branch managers recently. Basically, you have nothing blocking your sight view now, the people coming in. We have a little bit of cleanup work to do there, but I think that was a big help. We could actually see what's going on, you know, come out by your house, you know.
The biggest concern is a car going in the visitor's lane, getting to the end and deciding to make a right turn
Right.
into Wellington.
Right.
If that's your concern, then the only thing to do is to block off the Wellington entrance. How do you do that? You buy a bunch of big, huge pots and fill it up with plants and you cover it across and nobody can go through. And the people from Wellington will have to go out another area
Just change
and you
the
solve the
entrance.
problem.
This is like Bath and Borden again. You're gonna have to get that whole section of town to sign on to that. Now, there is a software. And it's in our system and it's never quite worked right. Called resident priority. Now, whether resident priority software, for example, if we put sensors at the Wellington entrance and integrated the traffic pattern with software-driven resident priority software. This all has to be done by ABDI and their techies. You might come up with something. But Barbara's point, that resident priority has to be set. You can't allow the traffic to back up to Okeechobee. Or the sheriff will come and say, move.
Yeah.
They won't allow it. I think maybe that's doable. I think you could put sensors across that Wellington entrance and integrate the traffic flow in both lanes. They all be software driven. This is something we might talk to Roy about, you know.
We did try it, if you're.
I know, it didn't work.
And there was a lot of complaint because you're holding up one lane while the other's moving.
Hey,
And if the person's not moving quickly, then horns start blowing.
but
People get very burned up.
which is worse? You want a guard to do it and take the abuse?
No, this was done automatically, set up by the system.
That's the resident priority, yes. I think it can be made to work. Your point about heavy traffic is,
Especially three
Well
times a
taken.
day when the traffic is extremely.
yeah,
Yeah, but you're adding on putting a sensor
Well-
at the corner.
there's more thinking there about a third entrance
Mm-hmm.
designated for CNAs, for contractors, et cetera.
Exactly.
That's another potential approach.
That would eliminate much of the traffic.
But you hear the cash register.
Oh, yeah,
Gotta reserve for it.
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, just even changing the entrance for Wellington, put it down further. You know, just change it altogether.
Yeah,
Bite the
That would
bullet
make
and
it
move
easy for people coming out of Wellington.
Much easier for them, they
It
have a
would
lot
make
of
them,
time.
if you moved it away from the gate,
Exactly.
then that gives cars coming in more time to space out, and it would be easier for the residents to get out.
To
Right
get
now,
in and
they
out.
come out to that entrance and all these cars are one after another. So you'd kill two birds with one stone
Yeah, I
that way.
think moving it is a good idea. Yes, Barbara?
Wellington is one of my quadrants, and I know Lenore talked to me, she asked me something, they have a federation that they meet on a monthly basis. She asked me to come this coming month, and I will be glad to mention it to them because it's gonna involve ML, Georgia's building there. What they would they think it would be helpful for them, themselves,
Yeah,
the
make it about
the
them.
residents, you know what I'm saying? That we move it down so they have an easier way of getting out of there. And I think that, see what they have to say, I don't think this is gonna be an expensive thing to
you
do at all.
Now
And
that
it
I
might
think
be a
of it,
safe solution.
when you move it down, you've got a divided road.
Mhm.
So if you move it down, you can't, you don't wanna force them to have to make a right-hand turn. So there must be a cut. I'm sure there's a cut in that divided road. So that's where you'd want, that's where
There's
you'd
a
wanna,
cut,
that's
yes.
where you'd wanna put
You
that.
have to have the same way they have an ingress,
Right, so you would
egress,
wanna move
and
it
you
down
need
to
the same
to
thing.
where that cut is, so they don't have to come out and be
Well,
forced to take a right.
If you wanna take a look, or you know, when you go out there, if you have any ideas that you think it would be a good place, call me. Listen, my number is in my column, my home number is in my column. I just say don't call me after 10 because I have a husband and I don't want a divorce, so we keep it to 10 o'clock when people call me at night. But that's a great idea, I think. It's something to look into.
Yeah, I think so. Stu?
You're
Divorce
still
because
gonna
it's
have an
after
issue
10 or
with
because they're
cars
males?
in the left lane going past the Wellington cutoff to cut from the left lane to the right lane to go to a new Wellington cut in to the right side. And it all stems from the kind of driver that you have in Century Village. Day before yesterday, or I think it was Sunday, I saw somebody driving down the main drag at about 80 miles an hour, sports car, zipping down. You could hear them coming and pass by. We've got a lot of people who just don't look left or right and assume that if you put your right turn signal on, everybody's going to see it and stop and let you cut across. So you have, I could see people racing through the entrance to get to the cutoff in front of the other guy so they can get where they go 2 seconds early. I don't really see a solution to this problem unless you dig a tunnel,
No,
and
I
that's
don't
not
think
gonna
so.
happen, so we're gonna have that for a long, unless you close off the whole Wellington thing. And nobody's allowed to make a right turn, and Wellington will have to accept that if you're coming from that area to go to where the Four Corners are and get on that way. Because otherwise it just is not feasible. Of course, it's going to be patchwork. It is only as good as a decent driver will allow you to have that happen, and I don't think we're gonna have that happen here.
But at least it will give the people more time to get over in the right lane, to get into Wellington.
You also have people getting over to the left lane to turn to
Yeah,
Wellington
true.
Ave.
Because we know,
Wellington, I'm sorry, Windsor Ave.
go straight, now you have to get in that left lane. Yes, Donald?
Well, if you push the entrance down further, I think Ed is right, you're gonna have reverse, because if you wanna go straight, you're gonna be doing this. So if you move it down, you're gonna have an X situation somewhere. The only real solution you're gonna do is, like Stuart said, is to put it on the other street. If you leave an entrance on the same side and just push it down, all you're gonna do is people that wanna go
Down
straight
further.
are just gonna X cross each other. And you might even have more problems with the traffic incidents.
Yes, Barbara?
I'm only here 20 years, but, and people here much longer than me, including David, I'm sure. But I don't know how many accidents we've had by Wellington. I don't know of any by Wellington. I think people are so aware of this that it's a hazard, but it hasn't been able to be solved. And they just gotta deal with it, it's like some things, you just gotta deal with it. But it's just a thought.
The problem with that is collection bias. Records are not being kept.
Well,
I remember somebody challenged me, has anyone ever been killed at the Four Corners? Well, it turns out someone was killed at the Four Corners. On the Okeechobee side. It's a matter of the research. And if you don't collect the data, there's nothing, we could ask the cops, there's nothing wrong, we could go to PBSO.
they're here on security.
And get a complete rundown in this village for the last decade of what accidents we've had. I think it'd be very interesting.
Maybe that's where we should start first and go from there, start from the ground up.
Never hurts to have data.
And just taking care of that entrance would be great. I mean, it seems like Haverhill entrance seems to be working out better. People, most of the time, they're considerate, but I've seen them come out of the condos and make a left-hand turn and they're coming head-on to me, twice it's happened. And I lay on the horn and the guy behind me thinks I'm playing games. He doesn't know there's someone coming the wrong way. And then the wife would say, "See, I told you so." So, but I have not seen that many there, except for that point.
Meanwhile, put up with the dirty cones, I guess.
The dirty cones, don't like them.
Come full circle.
I mean, I'd rather see the sticks that they can paint them, wash them. They're thinner, put bells on them, anything.
Do you have anything else on the agenda? Or is that it for today?
Oh, that's just about it, yeah.
Does Donald, do you have anything that maybe didn't get on the agenda that you wanna speak about?
Well, we got three fellows sitting here for the whole meeting and we
And they've
invited
been
them.
very patient.
Well, we learned not to park service trucks on Wellington. That's one big note right here. We got that clear, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Pick up all your cones.
Yeah, loud and clear and watch out for cones.
No, I can pick up our cones.
Just leave them alone, leave them for us.
Don't want them in the storage.
Cone rotation
Just
program.
leave the gardening tools.
Yeah.
Alright guys, we're about to start a new contract with Secret Services for landscape and irrigation. I brought the team in to introduce themselves to the committee. Might be a good time for discussion about what you want these guys to do for you in the next year. As you know, we've had some service issues with the previous contractor. And we're going to have to play some catch up here. And here are your catch up guys. So, beat them up, that's what we do.
We're gonna utilize
Hey, wait, you
you a
officially
lot.
can't beat us up yet, we didn't start yet.
We're gonna utilize you a lot,
You
but
have-
we're going to first start off where we start off, and that's our entrance.
It's so
You
important.
have an item here, flowers,
No, that was
Well,
discussed
plants,
already.
flowers,
okay.
Discussed.
shrubbery.
What I like to do today,
It's flowers as a overall.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
you're the boss. What I like to do today is, first of all, thank you for choosing Seacrest. B, I think we're
No,
Seacrest B.
we're Seacrest Landscape.
Seacrest,
Oh,
That's our
okay.
official name is
I know
Seacrest
we had
Landscape.
some conversations
Association
going.
and landscape, good going.
Seacrest
Okay.
Landscape.
But again, I wanna thank you guys for selecting Seacrest, and what I wanna do here, and I got with Donald reached out to me, we like to do a startup, program. We're a little different than I don't wanna say the other Seacrest, but we're a little different than, well, definitely different than Brightview.
One would hope.
Yeah, what we do here is, we have a startup, we wanna know, we have to see where the bones are buried, we wanna get input, we wanna work together as a team, I think we have already started that dialogue going when we did the Haverhill entrance.
Yes.
Where we communicated, we followed up, we're partners, so we wanna keep that going. So I brought a couple guys with me today, Cliff, some of you have met, he is my regional and startup manager. What he does is he's gonna go through the system, he's gonna oversee everything, because in the beginning, there's a lot of contacts, a lot of different faces. We just want one point of contact, because we have a lot of different avenues, so this way there's no confusion of who talked to who, and who do I see. So Cliff's your point person for the next 3 to 4 months. He's the guy that's gonna oversee the irrigation piece of it. I think we already had the tree vendor in, so he's done for the year. But anything, installs, ideas, suggestions, I know you guys met Heather, but again, we don't wanna throw all these different people at you and it gets confusing, especially being the new kids on the block. So Cliff's been tasked to be that startup guy, and he'll keep maps, he'll keep ongoing meetings, monthly, weekly, probably 2, I would say, probably in the beginning, doesn't have to be in this forum. But could be, one-on-one with the chair and, a couple of people, just to let you know where we're going. Phil Austin is my regional manager. Once we get to that 3-4 month, Cliff will step back, systems are in place, Phil takes over as far as the regional manager for UCO, and to ensure that contractual obligations are met, any fires, preventative fires, but it's landscaping, let's be real. It's just a, proactive approach to go forward so that we grow together, so to speak. So Cliff, if you wanna talk a little bit about what
Yeah, one of the
starter
things,
program is?
our startup program is a really great program, because what we try to do is try to pretty much take your property and split it up as much as we can, and then 6 months later, we wanna bring it back together again. We will kinda isolate, trimming, mowing, turf weeds, turf fertility, irrigation, safety issues, right? Obviously, we're gonna do a little bit of a safety audit in here and ride through and look for line of sight that maybe you know about, maybe you don't. Propose some solutions to get rid of the line of sight issues. I know both gates coming in, the Jatropha, I just knowing what I know of the place, when you make some of the turns, you can't see traffic coming, so there's a lot of that. And we'll kind of do, we'll do basically a Seacrest review, that way you guys have, we'll bring our safety officer in and he can look at some of these issues too, and just bring them to your attention and, give you a solution to what we can do. Can we rip it out? Can we put something lower there? Just little things like that maybe have gotten overlooked over the years because everybody's looking at the big ticket items, but there might be some little stuff. We'll just go through every line and we kind of focus on the sequence that we do things. The next couple days before we start, I'd probably like to meet with Donald and go over and just make sure all the boundaries are covered, make sure we didn't miss anything, and that's where I start my mapping from. So we look at the mowing first, make sure all the areas that we know to be mowed are gonna be mowed, and I'll map all that out, and our crews will have detailed production maps of what they're responsible for. Then we'll do the trimming, we'll make sure we're capturing all the trimming areas. So we kind of just bring the data together, present it back to you as what we're doing, when we're doing it, and why we're doing it, and then put all those pieces together from the pest control standpoint, the safety standpoint, the irrigation standpoint. And you guys have some good data, and you'll be able to build your next budgets for the next couple of years off of inefficiencies, goals, long-term, short-term. I saw DOT today picking up some of the stuff outside the fence line on the Eureka hedge on Okeechobee. That's good, but maybe if we eliminated that weedy grass type thing,
Right.
It might look a little bit better. Little curb appeal things that,
Talk about the Haverhill
Yeah,
Street,
yeah. So there's a lot of that, little things that we'll be bringing to your attention, and you might know about some of them, you might not know about some of them. And then also our install department, Heather, will kind of be kind of on the standby, you know, she can work on ideas and whatnot, but we just like to follow the sequence of getting our mowing and trimming down, get our agronomics down, and then we start, you know, with our irrigation, before we put a bunch of plants everywhere or make stuff, you kind of have all that information. So that's basically the next 3 to 4 months is gathering the information, doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing, make sure we didn't miss anything, and getting that information back to you guys.
I
Yes,
have a
Barbara.
question while Ed is still here, which is unusual, he's running. If we decide on doing any kind of planting, like you say, gee, this would be good to plant there. I presume flower planting would that come out of beautification budget? So before any of that can be done, it has to be okayed by this committee, because we have to watch our budget.
Well, just
Next
so you
year,
know,
we're gonna ask for a much higher budget, but this year we have to deal with what we have.
what we're gonna do is just suggest, we're not gonna go ahead and put in
No, I know.
plants and send you a
I know, I
bill.
would like to be in
Yeah.
on the meetings,
No, you
Yeah.
have to.
and Barbara, I'm sure will also, but we wanna know what is going on and how you're spending our beautification money.
Well, they can't spend it
Well,
without.
we're not gonna spend your money.
No, I know,
Yeah, and
you're not gonna spend it.
No, we don't wanna spend your money.
And probably our point.
Yes.
His comments though fold right into the upcoming budget process.
Right.
Right,
So,
for
yes,
next year,
that's
how
why
much we
I-
have to ask.
And so you understand, the only committee that can spend money for
I believe
beautification
November.
is the one you're in charge of.
Right.
That means your committee has to vote it.
Exactly,
Yes,
It's not
that's what,
something they're gonna run or somebody
Yeah,
else.
no, and
One of the things I wanna ask you is you moved some of your equipment and have you had any success finding out where the irrigation lines run?
Not yet, as far as,
Can you start developing that?
Yeah,
Now
that's
that you're going to be doing it?
that's
I'd like
exact-
to see a map of the whole place.
that
That's
would be
exactly
good.
what we're
That would
gonna
be
do.
First 4
excellent.
months, so we know exactly where the lines are.
Yep. There's some, we'll be able to do some test dig spots, and we'll also get zone maps too. And like Tony said in our last meeting, sometimes when you dig something up and you say, wait, this line is too small for how
Right.
long it is, we know something's happened somewhere. So there's a lot of exploratory digging, hunting, and
And a lot of this information already exists.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's downloaded into Gaspar's mind and to some extent Donald's mind. So one of the things Cliff's gonna do with Tony is download that information from our hard
Good.
drives and get it all
Okay.
onto a.
And so we need a download.
Yep.
Stu has something to say.
I see that there are two things here. One is landscape, one is irrigation, which is completely different than everything else. The other is landscaping, and within the landscaping, one, you have to have maintenance of what you already have. And then the second part is enhancement
Yeah.
to what is there. And the enhancement is what we would expect you guys to give us suggestions.
Right, that's what.
Where the landscaping is falling apart or the plants are not rejuvenating itself and they have to be ripped out, are we going to replace it with what is there already, which would just be maintenance? Or do we redesign it somewhat with an enhanced, different style, a different type of planting? And
exactly.
so on. As far as the cutting the plants down in terms of line of sight and all of that, that's what we would either tell you or you would, in your investigation of what we have here, tell us that is a little too high, people walking by, the cars can't see them, and it's an accident waiting to happen. So it's a kind of a combination with what you're offering and what we could come up, which is realistic. And also within the budget. And the other thing is that we don't have to do it all tomorrow.
Exactly.
This is a long-term
Yeah, exactly.
deal, and as long as we could see in our mind's eye progress being made, slow but sure, that's really what we're interested in.
And one of the things that we bring Heather on to help with also is sort of like the return on investment for specific beds. A lot of times we're in the situations where you might have 15 or 20 dead plants in a line of 50 plants.
Right.
Now, do you replace those dead ones or do you change out the entire line because it's old? So that type of stuff, she can give you recommendations for both.
She's been extremely
Yeah,
helpful
and
with
that-
how
and that's-
house,
and that's-
the
that's one of the-
plantings and what she designed. I can't tell you how I appreciate it, and matter of fact,
That's-
I mentioned her in my column this
That's
month.
one of the biggest
Okay.
things, she'll appreciate that. That's one of the biggest things that we run into is it worth it to just fix a few plants when all the plants don't look good? Or should you just spend the money and replace them all and tear them all out and do it? So that's kind of one of the big challenges.
I mean, one of the, one of the,
but that's the purpose of this meeting.
I
Yes.
think I
We
heard,
need to communicate.
Yeah.
I think I heard Ed kind of dance on to something here. Maybe not, but some of this, if it's big enough, it has to be coordinated with infrastructure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something to think about in terms of budget. What major irrigation and landscaping projects are gonna come out of this committee that will overlap
We'll have to go
intersect
with bid
Definitely.
with bids,
and
exactly.
infrastructure.
So just think about that.
And probably on that segue to Donald being probably our main contact here, I don't know how you guys wanna set it up, but because you're kind of the common denominator for all the, you know, cause sometimes if I'm sending emails and communicating to too many people, it goes around and nothing really gets established. Usually what I do is I try to set up one point of contact so I can get my information and then they kind of disperse it through whatever committees or boards you want. And then we're always available to meet with a committee or board to discuss it, that's not a
And
problem.
when it comes to a major project, the beautification, this committee and infrastructure and bids, we will have a meeting of both
Yeah,
committees
and-
together.
And we're always
So there'll be
available for
no
those.
problem.
We
Oh,
need
yeah.
that communication between a number of different
Yeah,
areas
absolutely.
talking.
Yeah. We just try to go to one person, that way it's not,
And you can do short term, like Cliff had mentioned, or long term, and say, for budget purposes, we did a community in Boca. It was like, I think the total was like 200,000, of course, you're not gonna put it in your budget 1 year, but they did a section by section over a course of 5 years.
They reserved and they planned for it.
It was planned for, it was done, and come January, and the best part was that the residents knew about it, so they knew that they were gonna get done in 2018, you know, it wasn't like, when am I getting done? You did Harriet,
Yeah.
what about me? You know,
Yeah, the
our
short
goal is
term
to
and
prevent
long
the people
term.
from attacking you guys as well, so. Good systems, good
It's a small
planning.
city, Steve, this is a project that really never gets done.
It's
Well,
huge.
It's like
look at our
highway-
contract,
highway
how many
construction.
committees, when we submitted the contract, I get with Donald, hey, where are we at? Well, it's gotta go to this committee, then this committee, this committee, this committee, then I went to, most of the people on the same committees, but I mean, I know we got bylaws and stuff like that and
And
rules.
Steve touches on a good point. In the past, since I've been here the last 2 years, when we identify a beautification project, an improvement project, and we go ahead and we go through the process and do it, looks great. Most people say, wow, I'm glad you did that. But then you have, the other part was, what about my section? If there's a long-term plan in place, you could just show that plan to the person and go, we're getting to you. But you have to be able to show it, just
Yeah.
blinking your eyes and saying, we'll get to you eventually, that's like saying, have a nice day.
Donald, there's a
Bless your heart.
slogan, you'll never get 100% of the people approving. Someone always says, what about me?
Yeah.
We'll get there, we're
Right.
getting there.
Me too.
If we can lay a plan out, then they'll know, okay, we're gonna be there in 2020, whatever.
But you gotta have the plan to
Takes a
show the
while.
person,
That's
otherwise
also-
it's all just
That's also
talk.
true transparency.
Exactly right.
Absolutely, that's what you want,
Everybody
transparency.
Just a case in
accommodating
point, I
if
have
they
one
come.
resident that's constantly after me about the North Canal. The North Canal is obviously an unkempt jungle. And for the past year and a half, I've been saying, Mr. So-and-so, this is on the early stage planning. We're really planning to do this project. Finally, I can feel him rolling his eyes when I'm talking to him on the phone. Finally, I said, why don't you just come to our next meeting? And we have an engineer here. This is a real project. We brought him in, and which he's entitled to come to anyway. It's an open
Sure.
meeting. He just didn't know what was going on. And that went a long way to making him understand that we are aware of the project. We're not just saying, yeah, sure, we'll get to it one of these days. It's a real thing. We're gonna hire an engineer. So, letting people know that and having an actual plan to show people is important.
Do you know how many
If
people
if
have
I can-
said,
If I can address that, just, a lot of people like him didn't understand what it takes to get to the point where you're authorized to begin work. And we will have had, someone investigating this for about 6 months before we
Sure.
get permits. Start doing something as big as this.
Yeah.
And what's the
Once
easy
this
part?
section
This
comes
is going
first,
to
of course.
be
Right.
a
Major.
huge project.
undertaking?
You can
Yes,
see it,
it
you
will
can
be.
see, you can see a layman, a single homeowner saying, well, what the hell are we waiting for? Gets a couple guys with chainsaws, start cutting, not that simple.
You can't do that.
All we
Yeah.
said
You
was
have to
write the
explain.
check.
That was a
Long
good meeting.
All we told him was write the check and that made him think about it.
And
Right.
Yes, Barbara.
Well, it was good that Donald did bring the gentleman in. I wasn't here, but I watched the tape and I was by phone. But I want to tell you something that I think a lot of people in the community are not aware, and that's why transparency is so important. That now this man realizes what they're doing with the canals, which affects his area, is about $700,000. And he was like, that's a lot of money. They don't think, they think you come, you cut, you clean. You have to show everything. Then they understand, okay, we know, Donald, you're right, you're gonna get it done, but it does take an initiative, it does take money, it does take reserving.
Right.
But that's why we're here, to try to help the community.
And scoot it along a little faster
Right.
if we can, but we have to go line by line.
One thing I learned in the 30 years of doing this business is use the word assessment, it usually shuts those down. What?
Yeah.
And they-
That's a golden word.
Well, that's all I have. I just wanted to introduce the team to everybody, and again, thanking you guys for giving us the
Thank
opportunity.
you, we'll see you
And,
again.
I just have a real quick question
Phil's our regional manager. He's gonna oversee our crews and their contractual compliance. He don't have much to say now. After we trim
He's a
and
quiet
mow,
guy.
he'll have his turn.
Yeah, I'll oversee all the scheduling and the mowing, the trimming and everything, all the, operations going on a day-to-day basis, handle everything.
Yep.
Okay, are we ready for Mary? Go
I'm
ahead,
Judy,
Mary.
but that's okay.
Judy.
Judy.
Cliff said something about pest control, I heard that phrase out there. And I'm meeting with our CAM in about 20 minutes to discuss, cause we haven't had any, what's the pest control thing that you're talking about?
Talk
Is
about
that like
IPS, integrated pest control.
subterranean
Yeah, IPS.
termites and all that?
No.
It's turf and, it's
Yeah.
turf and
It's
grass.
just-
Landscape, you're talking about building. Gotcha.
They call it lawn and ornamental is actually official name where it's licensed under, it's lawn and ornamental.
Okay.
Stu, you want
I
to
have
say
what you're.
What you're talking about is extermination services, and that's not what they do. This
Yeah,
is
this is-
horticultural pest control.
Well,
Chicks, bugs, funguses, so forth.
The buildings are like you, I have little things outside my building.
I have to tell you that I've had a lot of comments about the Haverhill entrance.
Okay.
People
Positive.
love it. They're loving it. I mean, I hear all the complaints. I go to the pool to swim, it's like, I can't hear you.
The pool is the spot.
Barbara, you didn't mention me in the
We've learned
magazine this
that.
month?
No, I didn't, because you
I
weren't
thought
out there.
I thought I had something to do with that,
I
but alright.
only mentioned people who work with their hands.
Oh, as long as it's Seacrest, I'm fine with it.
You'll get a column, don't
Seacrest
worry.
landscape, Seacrest landscape.
Just, we appreciate you coming today.
Thank you all.
And we'll be seeing you again many times, but always feel free to communicate, Barbara, Donald, myself, David, all of us.
You have my cell number, give
Yeah.
it to the gentleman.
Well, what we'll
no
do, this is
problem.
just a meet and greet. The next
Yes.
meeting, we'll swap emails, phone numbers and so forth and so on,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Alright,
Alright?
we'll
Thank
make
you,
up a
guys.
list next
Thank
meeting.
Thank you very much.
Good to meet
And the next meeting here will be on the 16th of May.
We'll already be,
And I
We'll
will
already
be
be
We'll
leaving
be
the
working,
next
up and
morning
You'll
running.
have
up
report.
and running.
on vacation.
And
I need a vacation for paradise.
Steve, you have 5 minutes before you have to leave, I'd like if we could get my
Sure.
office with Donald.
Mhm.
Okay?
And I wanna
And-
thank
and the
everyone
gentleman
for
can
coming.
come, both of you can come, I didn't mean to exclude anyone.
And thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good month and we'll see you on the 16th. Meeting is adjourned.
I
Thank
will
you.
complete this and get it back to you.
Please. I'm so sorry, I've been calling you Mary.
It's all right, I answered it most steady.
I'm coming in.
I appreciate it though.
I thought you said Mary. Well, you know the hearing always goes first. Sorry about that.